Hi guys, Joe Antonio here. Today we have another DIY job. Had a bit of a problem with the pool pump, as you can see. So what we have here is our old pump and our new pump. So first I'll cover off what happened with the old pump, might be a bit of interest to everybody. So it started off with, the pump is a Starlight fixed speed pump and about 1 horsepower. Being about 10 years old, doing about 6 hours a day pumping on the pool, and anyway she started to get a bit of a squeal up in the bearings. So we've pulled it down, and you can see all the various parts here. There's a motor here. Typically these problems start in the, there's a dry end of the motor, alright, and then there's the wet end of the motor. In the wet end of the motor you've got some basic stuff like the impeller to turn the water, but the part that's the killer of these pumps is these two little parts in my hand here, which is the bearings and the seal. And the bearings and the seals, over the years they get dry and hard, and they start to leak water, and they leak water, and the bearings get corroded, and of course you've got salt water, they corrode out. They get noisy as those bearings start to chew down the metal. Okay, so they're not a very expensive part, and you can replace them yourself or you take them to the shop. About $300 at the shop to do the whole job. But a bit of an example, you know, this is the Achilles heels of these pool pumps, what I've got in my hand at the moment, these seals and bearings. Anyway, so I came to the choice, spend a few $100s at the pool shop, pump repair, getting these replaced, or do it yourself. Of course you save money, or what I've been wanting to do for a while is look at saving some money on electricity, and this is where the new pump comes into play. We ended up purchasing Speck instead of spending $300. So the calculations I went to in my head here are spend a few $100s. I just spent $40 putting a new capacitor in this unit when the capacitor blew. So I'd already spent $40, spent another $300 or a couple of $100 putting seals, and then of course there's no guarantee that the motor itself doesn't burn out in due course, being a 10-year-old unit. So the challenge was, do I invest more money in the older unit or go for a new pump? And when I started looking at a new pump, then considerations, do I go back for a fixed speed pump like I had before, or do I go for a variable speed pump? There's lots of considerations there. First of all, variable speed pumps can save you a lot of energy, being they can reduce their speed. They work differently from a fixed speed pump, which consumes this particular old unit was 900 watts. I haven't got a reading of the actual usage of electricity, but you can be sure it's, you know, 200 or 300 or more running power. I don't think it'd be consuming the whole 900 watts all the time, but it is a 900 watt motor. Yeah, so you can consume several hundred watts of, about 300 watts of power on a unit like that, and fixed speed, variable speed pump and a lower speed, you could consume maybe half or less of that power, which is a big saving over 10 years, which is probably the life expectancy of one of these units. So looking around, there's quite a few units out there, different brands. Considered Haywoods and Austral, and these Speck pumps, which are a German design, Australian. I think they build them in Australia, but they're German design, so I'm not 100% sure where all the parts come from. But anyway, they have a fairly good reputation, these Speck pumps. So what we'll do, quickly unbox this unit, have a look at it, and we'll talk a little bit about the pump itself. So the pump itself, I think they're looking around $900 to $1,000 for one of these units. I think they retail for a bit more, but you'll be able to hunt around and get them a bit cheaper if you look around. the staples out. There's not too much information on the box. As you can see, not much information here. And the giveaway for the Speck pumps has got VS in there. They make a variable speed, and this is what this unit is here. Okay, so we'll open her up. Get a little operation manual. Okay, with the energy rating and some use on the front. Now, I guess the thinking about variable speed is once you reduce your power, reduce the speed of the pump, you do reduce your water flow. Now, there are some gains in technology over the years with, maybe a better design of the pump, and you move more water for less power. That sort of calculation can go on as well. But generally speaking, you reduce your power, reduce the speed of the motor, reduce your water. You reduce the suction as well, which is the killer. So if you have like a creepy crawly brand, a suction type unit that goes around and requires the pump suction to clean your pool, then you're going to have to run this at high speed. If you leave it in there all the time, then you need to run your pump at high speed, so there's probably not going to be a lot of power saving. So they're considerations that you have to have when you're buying a variable speed pump, and whether there's going to be a lot of advantage for you or not. For me, I use a robotic cleaner, so I don't use that suction power. I do have a waterfall feature that I have in my pool that I need to fill up and obviously have that water flow. So there has to be a decent amount of water flowing. So we'll cover that when we put the unit in. Anyway, we'll continue with the unboxing. Now this unit here, the old Starlight, moved about 350 litres per minute at normal running speed. This unit here in the Badu Speck pump is rated up with high speed at 450, but at normal range it'll probably come into around the 350 where this unit was in the normals. So I'm hoping that the water feature and the flow and the cleaning of the pool itself is very similar to this unit with less power usage. And just to give you a guidance on price, this new unit was $900. This was $750 10 years ago. I remember the price exactly, right? I remember when the money's coming out of my wallet, I remember. So anyway, so $750, $900. So the price variation, for me, it has. Over those years, obviously things change and there's inflation. So in relative terms, I think the technology and the price have come down on these units. Not much in the box, I think. So that's it. That's the unit. And one thing I'll note straight away, just the motor itself in the old unit is more than the weight of this whole new unit. So and you can see there's a bit of difference in the size of the basket. Again, I don't get much rubbish in my basket because I use a robotic cleaner, so pretty much only skimmed water goes in here, so you don't get a lot of crap coming in here. Most of it gets picked up in the outside basket. There's a unit. We have it's pretty light, so we have a LCD display, the 3 speeds on there, digital display. It is variable speed, so you can change it, but they're the preset speeds there. And that's pretty much it. There's not a lot to it. Of course, we've got an in and an out, and we've got the basket unit here. Nothing too unusual here, all fairly standard. Okay, a bit of an O-ring. Yeah, so this goes like that. You can only go one way. I don't know. So anyway, just locks in. That's it. And of course, Australia, we've got our 3-pin plug GPO outlet. What else have we got in the box? Not much is in here. Just not a lot to it. we've got the 50mm connector and adapter for the front, and this is the 40 for the top. And that's it, folks. That's a Speck pump. Okay, nothing unusual, too much unusual than any other pump. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put this unit in, and I'll give you an idea of the water flow just by visually seeing it. I'm not going to go into anything too technical here. I haven't really got a way of reading how much power consumption is easily, so I'm not going to go into all of that. There's probably other places you can get that information, but I just want to give you an overview of what this looks like and how it sounds and what it runs like. Okay, get back to you soon. Now we've just got our pump put back in, we replaced our pump now. So we've got the new pump put in. It's in there, and we're just going to. So what we have to do before we switch this pump on now is we'll have to prime it up. So we'll take that cap off here. Oh. For me. It's important to prime your pump because some of these are self-priming depending on how high they are above the water level, but always a good idea to fill up your pump with water, all the pipes. Running pumps dry is not a good look, and certainly caused the premature death of my last pump. Okay. So now you've got your pump basket there full of water. Make that nice and snug. Some action happening. Let me put the timer on. Right, so the first thing we've got here, the pump started up. It's gone into automatic mode, which starts at high speed. You can see the water pumping now, the prime's coming up on the pump. Over here you can see that it's running at 2850. That's max speed for this pump. Okay, so that's what I'm looking to run it at 1900. Speed setting 1. There's the pressure on the sand filter. Normally it runs up here at 1 bar. But it's down here on the lowest setting and halfway in between on the second setting. And for you that are technically minded, there's the specifications of the pump. Now those specifications are almost identical to the old direct drive pump, 1 horsepower, 970 watts. I think we're looking at about 900 watts on the old direct drive, 240 volt, 50 hertz of course. So the capacity of the pump as far as the motor goes looks pretty much what we had before. Of course there's going to be changes as far as the design. This particular pump is German designed, Australian made, so there may be some improvements in the impeller and the pump over my older pump, so there may be some benefits there. So you might get some performance gains there. But certainly as far as noise goes, you could run this pump at night. I think it would be quite okay. Okay, So our speed settings go, 1 is the lowest at 1900 RPM, two is preset to 2400, and 3 is 2800. And you can hear the noise it makes at high speed. It's pretty quiet. This is up close. And we'll give you a view from the front at the different speeds. Alright, so first we'll look at it at high speed. This is high speed, 2800. This is very similar to the old pump. So as you can see, I've got a good water flow there. This is probably not going to take as much energy out of the old pump at that speed. Probably be very similar. Might be a bit of saving. So we'll drop it back to the lower speed. So this is 2400. This may be the speed that will run it. Still get good filtration. I can see my pump pressure's dropped back a little bit on my fan filter about. I've had a 30% reduction in pressure on the fan filter. So as long as it does the filtration, you're still good. And actually lowering the pressure on your pump and your pipes and your fan filter will help the longevity of your kit. We'll try the lower speed now. This is preset at preset 1, and this is 1900 RPM. The pressure on the fan filter is about half of what it was before. I'm still happy with that. I think I'll run it on the lowest preset setting, which is 1900. And that's going to be substantial power savings. I haven't got a power meter, but I reckon the power savings here, based on what I've seen on other tests on single speed pumps, I'll probably go from somewhere around 300 plus watts on my old pump to probably about 50 watts. So we're looking at substantial power savings. About 1/6 of our power usage potentially running on the lower speed. And I'm still getting my aesthetics with my fountain head. I'm still getting pressure on my fan filter for cleaning. The back washing obviously I'm going to have to run for higher speed. But with my Aquabot robotic cleaner, it picks up all the not a lot of rate shavings through the trimmer, so I don't get a lot of run through my fan filter. So I only clean that one just once a year with back wash. Hardly gets dirty. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. As you can hear, the fountain head makes more noise than the pump, which is ideal. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you guys. Go and hang out.